by Dario Panigua, followed by a panel discussion which is very, very relevant in these turbulent times. It's about people, purpose, promise, and perpetuity in COVID and beyond. We will then break for a short break, important, and how we are changing, how we have changed in terms of purpose, perpetuity, and people. So, here, let the party begin. So, I'll start with the community update. As I said, we are 1 year old, just 1 year old, and we'll be 1 year old on Jan 26, 2021. Jan 26, 2020, we started this community with a group of 6 women. And today we are around 500 participants, 500 members all across the globe. And when I look at this, I'm reminded of a very small message that came on WhatsApp the other day. Who will work in my absence? The sun asked the entire world during sunset. Everyone remained silent, but the candle whispered, I will try my level best. So it is not a matter of the size, but the attitude that shines. And this is what exactly our community is based on. Our attitude to make a difference. We are not a business, but we are a community with a purpose. Today we are around 500 women all across the globe. And we have a lot of men supporters as well. Our vision is to empower with the right skill, the right person to transform the future. And right now, we are doing just providing a platform to enhance our leadership qualities. We truly believe being good enough is just amazing because we do not actually need to be an expert to power each other up. And when many such good enough people come together, we have seen we can do wonders. We power each other up. We say we power up. And obviously together we rise as a community. And of course, this wouldn't have been possible without a strong team who is so passionate about giving back to the community, including men as well as women. Meet these individuals without whom this event wouldn't have been possible or this community wouldn't have been possible. The first person which I would like to call out is Agalya GS. She's a founder of Noun and Verb. She's a graphic facilitator, process facilitator, and she's a visual thinker. She's a person behind those wonderful flyers and graphics that you see on social media today. Then we have our communication champ, Abhishek Mishra. He is the author of the book, The Powerful and Exceptional Codes, plus multiple other books. I see a new book every other day. He's a writer, he's a speaker, and he is the person instrumental behind our newsletter, which is multilingual today. It has been published in English, Portuguese, and Spanish and Turkish every 5th day of the month. So watch out for our newsletter, and you will see many interesting stuff coming in. And last but not the least, we have Hana Siddiqui, who is our North America region lead. She is the co-creator and director of BU Agile in Education. And she's conducting research in Agile in higher education, EduScrum in higher education. And she is the country lead, or the region lead, sorry, not the country lead, region lead for Women PowerUp Network North America Group. And the newest member of our team is, last but not the least, is Priscilla. Priscilla is our region lead for Europe, and she is passionate about people and projects. Her biggest drive is helping others to achieve maximum potential through servant leadership. And that is exactly what we are seeking for in this community. 3 words that describe Priscilla's way of working are engagement, communication, and teamwork. So Priscilla, if you are there, please say hi to everyone and say a few words about Why did you choose to join us? And of course, we are very, very excited to have you here.
Thank you, Priya, for that introduction. And hello, everyone. Greetings from the southern part of the Netherlands in a small village called Lepelstraat, Spoon Street. Very excited to meet you all virtually here today. As Priya just said, I've started as the region lead for the European area. What can I say? I think what comes to mind is the Ubuntu philosophy. For those who are familiar with Ubuntu, it's a Zulu philosophy that says, I am because we are. So I think that as humans, we are successful when all of us are successful. We rise by lifting each other up. And that's why I wanted to join this group, this fantastic team, and just see what can I do, what part can I play to lift someone up, even if it's just one person or 10 people. If I can lift you and then you lift me, then we're all at the end the wiser and the better for it. So I look forward to learning from each of you, hearing from your insights. If you have any challenges, what you're going through, how can we help each other? So feel free to reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn, and let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And that exactly resonates with our values. Together we rise. Thank you very much, Priscilla, for that wonderful introduction. And this is how we have been. This is how the journey has been for the last 1 year. As we said, January 26, 2020, we were born. And that means the community was incepted. February, we started our Power Connects. And in March, we went virtual because of COVID. And since then, every month, we have been having some skill improvement events, which we call as Power Connects. And who does that? Thought leaders from across the globe. And Priscilla, Ubuntu was one of the topic that we took up, and we had keynote speaker Karabo Moloko from South Africa taking us through the journey of Ubuntu. By August, we had started our collaborations with multiple other communities, like-minded communities like Agile in Education USA, led by Hannah, with PMO Global Alliance. And today we are in collaboration with many other communities like PMO officers, IAPM, and many more to come, of course. September, we were ready to flaunt our community because of this wonderful, passionate volunteers who had joined us, and we launched our first newsletter. And our newsletter, as I said, is launched on the 5th day of every month. From Jan onwards, it has become multilingual. It has been published in English, Turkish, Portuguese, and Spanish. And of course, it is possible only because of the supporting leaders that are supporting us today. In October, we expanded to the North America region. And November, we had a NA region launch event under the able leadership of our region lead, Hannah. And December, we were ready to go live with our website. And that's how our journey has been, from 6 members to 500 members that we have today. And what a journey it has been so far. And thank you all, our members, supporters who stood by us and have been with us on this exciting journey. So thank you, everyone. So let the party begin. I think we have said enough. Our first keynote speaker is Dario Panicua, and he's a visual thinker. He is a visual thinkers coach in DarioPanicua.com. Dario, please, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name right. And he hails from Buenos Aires, Argentina, but lives in Italy. Wow, what a diversity here. He worked in advertising before transitioning to what he truly loves, teaching people to discover their hidden visual thinking abilities. And I'm really looking forward to that, Dario. He's the author of 2 books, and he loves, playing with Legos, watches cartoons to keep his creative mind alive. a few years ago, he started an online course as well on visual thinking and visual metaphors. And today he's going to take us through this visual journey of metaphors and how we can convey effective messages through metaphors. And with this, I will hand over the stage to you, Dario, to take us through this beautiful visual journey of metaphors.
Hello, hello, hello. So thank you very much for the presentation. I'm gonna share my screen so we can start. Okay. Okay. So you see the green screen, right?
Yes, we see that.
Good. So I'm going to avoid talking about myself because we have little time, and the important thing today is the content and not me. Okay, so I want to make the most of the time we have together. And since today we're talking about towards a new beginning, I wanted to briefly reflect on what we are experiencing nowadays, because it serves as an introduction to what I will teach you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple of things that at first will seem to make no sense at all. Okay, but at the end of the presentation we will connect all the dots. And I was reading a fascinating article from the BBC about how the world of work may change forever because of COVID. And there I read something very interesting from Erika Brescia from GitHub. Okay, that makes sense. She says that the future of work will shift. Okay, she didn't say that change, but shift. And we are going to see a significant shift from office by default to remote by default. And remote by default will also force people to reframe how they communicate and connect with people at work. So those whose superpower is, I don't know, connecting with people live and are good at building conversations will need to become written communicators. So this situation is connected to another big downside of working from home. We have a huge communication challenge. And most of the recent surveys talk about how burned out people are after hours and hours of meetings. Okay, we have a new term called Zoom fatigue that describes the tiredness, the worry or burnout associated with overusing virtual communication platforms. If before COVID, people regretted meetings in companies, I don't know, imagine what must happen with the number of endless meetings that are happening these days, okay? Think about this situation. What if we are the first presentation that a person sees in a day full of meetings? That's a pretty good scenario, right? But what if ours is the third presentation or the fourth or the fifth presentation that a person sees in the day? What's more, we are in a period of history in which we are overwhelmed with a huge quantity of information, okay? More than we can manage to process. That is why we have developed a great ability to filter information and be present, but in an automatic pilot mode. in front of our screens. So somehow like being present without being there. We filter everything that doesn't catch our attention. So we are experts at filtering things we don't care about. So have you noticed that in the last period, we have all become great content generators? Have you noticed the number of posts we see on social media? So it's fantastic because everyone has a camera and a microphone to speak and to express themselves, which is great. But we have two big problems here. So the big problem is that one of the big problems is that the great repetition of the same type of content. And second, content that does not add value, okay? And just to give you an example, how many posts have you seen lately in which the main image is a screenshot of a webinar's attendees? How many posts have you seen that start by saying, I am proud of blah, 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 blah. So we spend a lot of time online. The content will continue to grow and will grow the information you filter or discard because you just don't care if it doesn't add value. That's a really important concept, okay? So today, I will teach you how to make compelling visual presentations for this new beginning. So let's start by describing the situation by default in this new beginning. We have this person on the other side of the screen. Let's put her a name. Let's call her, I don't know, Mary, okay? So Mary could be your boss, your job colleague, a client, or whatever. What we know about Mary is that she's tired following long hours of online meetings, okay? And we also know that she's probably multitasking, okay? She's not only hearing what you say, she's also checking her email, checking WhatsApp, assisting his son who is taking online classes on the other room, feeding her, I don't know, little baby, managing the chaos around her, and she's also worried for things she has to manage by the end of the day. So Mary has a very low level of attention because of the previous things I mentioned. So in this context, how will you communicate effectively with all the Marys who are more or less in the same situation, okay? So each time you make a presentation for this new beginning, I want you to imagine that you have a child as an audience. And you're probably asking, why a child? Children don't have too much patience, okay? Or they have it, but they will stop paying attention as soon as something is boring. So today we will learn how to communicate visually, learning what children do because they are the experts in two things. So knowing these two things will help you with what I want you to learn today about metaphors to apply in your presentations, okay? The first one is that the first thing that children do great is that they are concise, okay? And they want you to be concise as well. So children don't have too much patience regarding long speeches. So if you talk to a child and you are not interesting, they just close. And what's more, if they don't like what you present to them, They don't pretend. And this is a great value to learn because, as I said before, in this period, people are exhausted. We can show them long presentations. So the first mistake we all make is to create huge presentations, okay? So people make long presentations because of the false belief that the longer the presentation, the harder they worked. But that is not real. When children want to express something, they usually use one page and draw whatever they want on a single scene. So they are the experts of being concise. And with these, I'm not telling you to do single slide presentations, but to keep them short. This is really important. Keep your presentations short. The second thing is that children create metaphors because they don't understand abstract. So to tell you that they love their, I hear some noises. Could you please mute your mix? Thank you, thank you. Okay, I was saying that the second thing is that children create metaphors because they don't understand abstract. And to tell that, for example, love their mother or their family, they will draw love as a heart because if it's a way to transform love in something tangible, okay? But let me tell you something. We as adults struggle to deal with abstract as well. So today, instead of learning about drawing little people or icons, we will learn how to deal with the things that most presentations deal with, numbers and data. So we will connect that to metaphors. I cannot teach you to draw in less than half an hour, but I can teach you to tell stories with images. Okay, this is what I call visual storytelling. So there's a very interesting book, Made to Stick, by Chip and Dan Heath. And there's a great explanation about how memory works. It's called the Velcro theory of memory, okay? And it says that memory is like Velcro material. So if you see one of the sides is covered with thousands of tiny hooks, and the other side is covered with thousands of tiny loops. And when you press the two sides together, you make the Velcro seal. So your brain hosts a huge number of loops. The more hooks an idea has, the better it will cling to the memory. So to explain that concept, the Heath brothers referenced the following exercise from the cognitive psychologist David Rabin, okay? That illustrates the nature of memory. And we will do this exercise together. You don't have to do nothing special, just hear what I will say, okay? I want you to remember the capital of your country. I want you to remember the first line of Hey Jude. I want you to remember the Mona Lisa. Now, please remember the house where you spent more of your childhood. Remember the definition of truth. And finally, remember the definition of watermelon. So, as you realize, it feels different to remember different kinds of things. So probably Mona Lisa memory made you recall the famous art picture. Hey Jude made you hear the Beatles' voices sing that song. On the other side, the definition of truth might not found any loop in your brain. Still, for sure, you probably create a definition on the fly about what truth means for you. But what happens if I ask you to remember this number? And to make things worse, what if you have to remember other numbers shown in a presentation? So your brain probably will struggle to find the way to make loops, to find any hooks, as Heath's brother said. Your childhood home has millions of hooks in your brain, but in this case, this number has only, I don't know, one if it's lucky, okay? So even though most speeches and presentations include numbers, which generally present different results, nobody remembers them because they are not shown visually. And that's very important. So associating an image for each of the numbers shown in a presentation would be hard for sure, but it's really helpful to play visually with those numbers that are important to convey. Okay, so if you have a presentation and in one slide write 3,500 people in a context where you will also expose other numbers, the day after, those will, with better memory, will not even remember if you were talking about 350, 3,500 or 35,000 individuals, okay? Or even worse, they won't remember some of the digits because it's more important for people to remember the relationship rather than the number itself. So the secret is to create the Velcro. And to do that, you need to contextualize, to seek relationships. It offers the possibility to include an image in your presentation, and it helps your audience remember and understand the numbers presented, okay? So, what happens when you have to contextualize number of people? The number of people is contextualized graphically, putting those people in a certain place. And let me give you an example. If, for example, you talk about 3,000 people, apart from having trouble retaining that number, the audience will also fail to imagine how many people those are. But instead, you show them with a drawing or a photo that 3,000 people is the average capacity of passengers on a cruise. You're helping them understand and remember the number. Okay, this is what I call visual context. Look how powerful is that. Therefore, you should graphically put the number of people in places with a similar capacity to the data presented, that are recognizable to your audience and consistent with the topic you're presenting. But the possibilities are endless. Stadiums and monuments capacity, transportation, or I don't know, or the analogy of the population size of certain places, okay? But this is very, very powerful to make people visualize the numbers of people, okay? What happens with money? Contextualizing amounts of money. When the amounts of money are very high, people can't picture how much those amounts mean. And that is why we should use the same technique when a very at stake in gambling is being advertised. List all the things you could eventually buy with that amount. So find like a graphical relationship between tangible things and the same value of the amount of money presented. I don't know, the price of properties, the cost of accommodation in particular locations, the price of companies, or even the price of certain art paintings, okay? So you give references to understand what you can do with that money, okay? Then we have contextualizing measures. So hates are easily represented seeking world famous monuments references, okay? So the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of Liberty, the Cristo Redentor, or any skyscraper in Dubai, okay? It would help you. It would help if you memorize some of these measures to use as a reference point for your presentation every time someone speaks of hates, okay? When you have to represent long distances or the length of certain things, you can take as a reference the length of a soccer field, 100 meters. This means that it's more memorable and understandable when you're talking of 200 meters long to say graphically that whatever you're describing is 2 football fields long, okay? And finally, for weights, you can use heavy animals like an elephant up to 7 tons, or a blue whale, okay, up to 200 tons as a reference. So this is a concrete way to make people understand your numbers, because you are giving them a concrete visual reference that will help them understand your data. So this way to present numbers graphically helps to create stories, creating metaphors that convert those intangible things into concrete things is very powerful. Why? Because we are better at remembering concrete. And the same thing we do with numbers, we can do it with concepts. And this is something I invented to transform abstract topics into tangible metaphorical concepts. The what it would be chart. This is a simple question you can make yourself whenever you have to talk about an abstract concept in your presentation. So it's something that happens in your mind, okay? So let's put an example. You have to talk about change. So in your mind, you picture the following chart. In each column, you have these single labels: animals, objects, shapes, and situations. And then you ask yourself this very simple question. If change were an animal, what it would be? Okay? If it were an object, if it were a shape, or if it were a situation, a verb or an action, what it would be. So the answer that best pictures that concept and fits better with the context in which it is said will be the image that you will use or draw in your presentation. Okay? So I would like you to apply what we have just learned to today's topic. So I would like each of you to try to make the concept of a new beginning tangible. Take 2 or 3 minutes to do the same as I did with the change. So it doesn't matter if you don't fill in all the columns. If you find at least one image, you don't have to draw it. You can just tell me. I will be more than happy. So if new beginning were an animal, what would it be? If it were an object, if it were a shape or a situation, a verb or an action, what would it be? Okay? So take 2 minutes to think. The objective of this is to try to transform a new beginning into something tangible. The ones who want to draw can draw. The ones who want to just write, they can write. Okay, I'm reading here. Snow, spring, Phoenix, object ice crystal, hourglass, an animal, an egg, a situation, a newborn. Good. They are very interesting. Situation, spring. A butterfly. Ice crystal. Growth. New friendship. Change from youth to adult. Clean plate. larva, object, sun, situation, motherhood. Those are really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. Animal, a caterpillar, object, a seed, situation, remote work, new start. Good, 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 good. So, thank you, thank you. This is very interesting. As you can see, this is a very useful exercise. And keeping that in mind every time you talk, you make a presentation, try to make things tangible. It helps a lot. It really helps a lot. Okay. So I want to finish my presentation with another exercise, because you're now probably thinking, come on, Dario, I can't put all these drawings or pictures on my presentation. How will I connect these crazy drawings or pictures with the data I have to present? Okay, so here we arrive at a key point, which is that everybody talks about storytelling, but nobody tells you how you do that. So the last thing I want to teach you today is a disruptive presentation method. And for that, I will need a volunteer. The person that wants to be the volunteer can unmute himself, and I will give the instructions. Any volunteer?
Hi, Dario. This is Raj here.
Hello.
I can be a volunteer.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm fine. What about you?
Good, good. I can be a volunteer if you want. I can be a guinea pig.
Perfect. Okay. So you are going to give a presentation, okay? You're going to give a presentation about yourself. But the only
What is it all about it? What's the subject?
Hello?
What's the subject of this program?
Hello?
Yeah, there was some noise, Dario.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was telling you that you will have a very short presentation about yourself, okay? But the big difference is that I will control your presentation. So you will start with the first slide, okay? Telling your name. So my name is, for example, my name is Dario, and I will start to talk about myself. But at a certain point, you will see that I will change the slide, and you have to connect what you are presenting about yourself, connect it with what you see, okay? So
okay.
you have to start inventing, okay? And at a certain point, I will change the slide, and you have to readapt what you're telling about you with that image. Okay?
Understood.
Okay. So you start, my name is, and then keep talking, and I will continue to change the slides. There are 4 slides, okay? This one, and then 4 other slides. Okay, start with your presentation.
So I'll start. My name is Raj, and I'm from Mumbai. I'm a close friend of Agalya. I do understand visual thinking, and definitely you know, when I see this kind of picture, it actually propagates in my mind that freedom need not be blocked. Each woman need to be empowered, and we need to make sure that each one of her is able to speak with the same level of conviction. And we should not look them like, you know, I mean, their thoughts should not be put it in the cardboards and put it in the corner. I think the most important part is each one of them should be able to visualize. They should be able to shift their thoughts, like the image which is shown there. And we should be able to carry such powerful information from one to other, and we should be able to give them a great freedom of speech. That's possible only when we have a microphone which is absolutely kept open and unmute their thoughts. That's the way I look at it, a freedom for women as well as freedom for people who are weak. Does it? And last but not the least is, oh, I'm doing good. Okay, thank you. And I think the most important part is we should be really, really tough. We should not actually look at it, our mind, like the egg which we are seeing. Though it is, I mean, the analogy of egg is have a toughness from outside, but at the same time, your thoughts should be really, really very empathetic, and we should be able to really convey it in a nicer way to the others.
Excellent.
Thank you.
A big applause.
Oh my God. That's right.
Excellent. You were excellent. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. That is creativity. That is creativity. That's what children do. That's why I always say that we have a lot to learn about our inner child. This is what we used to do when we were children. Exactly this. No limits at all. No fear. Always remember that. Whenever you feel insecure, whenever you feel you feel the fear of a situation, connect with your inner child. That's your superpower. No limits. Unlimited mind. So, as you can see, thank you very much. Thank you. The presentation was excellent. So, as you can see, this type of presentation creates a lot of attention. This was not prepared, but it was engaging, was spontaneous, and it was a metaphorical presentation. How powerful was that? So we need to create a pattern interrupt in our audience to catch their attention in these Zoom fatigue days. So as you see today, are the key. This was a very quick introduction to the topic, but I'm sure that you take with you some ideas to work on, okay? Because work in the new beginning, during and after COVID, will not be the same, okay? So this was a brief introduction to metaphors. If you want to dive into this topic, don't hesitate to contact me. Okay, here's my email. If you have questions, write me. I always read and answer every email. Okay, and I'm always happy to help people with visual thinking. Okay. If you have questions, I'm here.
So thank you, Dario, and I truly agree that you read all your emails and you are very active on LinkedIn as well. So please do share your LinkedIn ID, LinkedIn link over here on the chat window, so our participants can connect with you. We are running a little short of time, so hence
Okay.
cut you short. And please do accept this. Just yeah, please do accept this. This token of appreciation from our end, from Women Power Up Network, for your time and your valuable insights that you've given us. We would love to take this conversation forward. So please do connect with Dario on LinkedIn and let us continue thinking visually with metaphors. And with this,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dario. Thank you very much. With this, Adali, if you can share your screen, we can look at the live scribe that you have already created. So Dario, we were having Agalia, a visual thinker, doing a live scribe of this entire session. She will share her screen for 1 second so that we can have a look at it. Yeah. Oh, that was awesome, Agalia. Okay. So we will... Yeah, so we'll move on. So with this, we'll move on to the panel discussion on people, purpose, promise for PhD, post COVID and beyond. We all know of Philip Kotler's 4Ps, right? Product, price, place, and promotion of marketing, which is still relevant today. But today businesses are becoming more human with people, purpose, promise, and perpetuity. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it right or not, as the forerunners. So with this, I hand over the stage to Hana to take this, facilitate this discussion along with Ashutosh, Nivarti, and Leo.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Priya. And thank you so much, Daria, for the wonderful, eye-opening, really exciting, great presentation. I've learned a lot. I am an academic, and I do this almost every day. So I'm sure to apply some of those, your suggestion and tips that you gave me. So thank you so much. So first, I would like to welcome everyone once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever location you're joining us from. Welcome to our first birthday celebration, Women Power Up Network birthday celebration. My name is Hana Siddiqui. Priya had introduced me before. Thank you so much for your kind words. But I just want to say one thing, that thank you to our members, our followers, to more than 900 registrants who took their time to register for this conference, this event. And this goes without saying the tremendous support that our remarkable speakers here, Lee, Dario, Linda, Mark, Ashutosh, Nivarti, Leo, and everybody else has provided. And it's possible because of your support. All right, I want to say that it would not have been possible without your support, and it would not have been possible without our team, Team Awesome, and our team lead, Priya Patra. You are awesome. So our panel discussion, the topic is, as Priya said, people, purpose, promise, perpetuity. And we're going to look at these topics. These are topics, these are not just words. To me, these words are broader concept study, right? So we don't have as much time, but we're going to utilize this time as best as possible with our remarkable 3 panelists, Leo, Nivarti, and Ashutosh. And so we're going to dive in few of the aspects of this topic, right? We're going through a crisis that we've never even imagined that we would be in. So it's a social, economic, political crisis, rather. Businesses are struggling, especially our small businesses. Small businesses are struggling to pay their bills, right? So I am honored and I'm very excited to be facilitating this discussion. Once again, welcome. welcome to our fishbowl discussion. And first of all, what I would like our honorable panelists to this discussion would you just take a few minutes and introduce yourself? And anybody can go first, whether Leo, Ashutosh, or Nivarti.
Maybe I can go first.
Yes.
Is it okay?
Ashutosh, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Ashutosh Bhatodekar. I'm an enterprise agile coach and working as a transformation leader with the entertainment segment right now. And this is an industry which has been impacted a lot by this COVID. And looking forward to have this interesting discussion with all of you.
Yep.
Okay, probably I'll go next. Hello everyone, I'm Nivarti Jairam, currently with Society General as Head of Transformation. Pleasure to be part of this particular panel discussion. Looking forward to take back lots of learnings from here.
Thank you. Leo.
Hello everyone, good morning, good night, good afternoon, depending on the location. First of all, thank you very much to invite me this great event. Congratulations, because it's the first anniversary. So this is the first of many, many more, obviously, and we're hoping to be here in the next one, only as another member. So thank you very much for the invitation, all the members, and sharing with great colleagues, and it's wonderful to watch young people, seniors people, women as well, young people as well. So it's a great event. Congratulations. Well, as Dario have mentioned before, I don't like to talk too much about me. Just I'm PM Officers founder, PMO Academy, a PM Experience brands as startups. Currently, I'm in Barcelona, Spain. In fact, I'm Mexican, but I'm in from the past 20 years. And my passion is project management and PMOs, projects and products management offices. So I'm trying just to sharing many things in our global PM office community, many contexts for improvement the profession for young people, because they are going to lead the next generation about our profession. This is the main goal, and obviously including both, women and men, because you are the next one who needs to lead our world, but for a better world than currently we are living. So greetings from Barcelona. It's my pleasure to share with you. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you so much and welcome. And thank you for actually opening up our discussion, right? So we are here to discuss a people, purpose, promise. What does that actually mean when it comes to leadership? When it comes to, we hear this actually what are buzzwords, right? These are, I don't want to I say it buzzwords, but we do hear these words a lot. Businesses are striving to, business with a purpose oriented, return on purpose, return on intention, rather than return on investment. So what advice do you have for leadership in terms of, and we want to actually take a look at our the possibilities and what we can promise, right, to our next generation, as we said, beyond COVID-19. So what does it mean when they say business with purpose, people-centric business? What does it mean to you? If Nivarti can start us off with this discussion.
Yeah, I think purpose is the core foundation for, not just organization, but our life itself. So we can't really exist without a purpose. The more clarity you have on your purpose, I think you would be more clear about how you want to achieve it. And that applies to us as individuals or organizations, because as organizations or businesses or enterprises, whatever you want to refer to them as, if you have a clear purpose, it gives the ability to empower people and make them autonomous, because then they really understand where they are heading and can make the decisions within their purview which are aligned to that purpose. And everything else, whether it is organizational culture, the vision or the direction or the strategies that you deploy and how people look at the organization, are driven by the core purpose. So purpose is like your heart, right? So if you know where your heart is and where you want that to go, I think rest all falls into place, and that's what I feel.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think you've said it. Purpose is your heart, right? And then we also I'm an educator, and we also like to say that purpose, it defines your why, right? Start your journey with why, and that's also aligns with your purpose, and that has to align with, of course, your vision and the mission, bigger picture. So awesome. Thank you so much for that. Ashutosh, would you like to add something to that? So what do we mean? What do people mean? What do we supposed to understand when we hear business with a purpose?
Okay, so I would put it in a different way, and Nivritti, I think, mentioned it in a very right way, that it's a heart. But I would put it that purpose is something which stays with me, whether I make a profit or whether I don't make a profit at all. This is something which stays with me. It's like my soul, I would say. More than a heart, it's like my soul. Because even when I'm in those low moments or in those high moments, so when I'm in a high moment, when my business has really flourished, purpose is something which is like a hypothesis which has come out to be true, right? Or which has been proven to be right. But let's take a low moment. Like last year, most of the organizations were in a low moment. And yet purpose was something which stayed with them, right? That passion or the purpose, what we say, right? So it's a very apt point that it's a return on purpose. In some years, it could be a low. In some years, it could be high. But that is something which stays with you, right? And that is something which teaches you. And so that's what I would put it. And from a purpose point of view, a statement which I would like to make is that it is something which is in your emotionally, it is connected with you emotionally. And even when you're in a low moment, this is something which motivates you to reach higher heights. So that would be my opening statement on this.
All right, thank you so much. So you're not suggesting purpose with a business to look at the CEO book, the numbers?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I will say that is a kind of a natural extension of it. So I would put it more from the point of view that if I'm a CEO of a company, purpose is something which is there with me. I mean, there's something which actually charges me up to wake up on a Monday morning, and it to an extent saddens me on a Friday evening that now I don't have 2 days. I mean, though there are ways on which we can work on a purpose even on a Saturday, Sunday, but as a business leader, it's something that I feel that, oh, it's a 2-day rest period what I've got on a Friday evening. But it definitely charges me to go to office on a Monday morning and wake up at 8 o'clock and go through a traffic situation in a city like Bangalore also, which is very chaotic.
Understood. Thank you, and couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for that. Leo, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, well, I think the leadership begins from us. Not is only for business. It's from our family, our society, as individual persons. This is the first step of leadership. Because if we are acting correctly, once we are getting into a company, an organization, or our own business, we are to share this kind of things, this kind of attitude, like empowerment, like resilience, and many other soft skills, that everyone should have into for each one. It doesn't matter the age. We need to share with our kids, and the leadership begins with example. If we act correctly, the people that is watching us as example most probably can act not equal, because everyone are individuals, everyone are different. No, we are unique, everyone, but they can see us that we are saying, we are thinking, we are acting at the same path and the same level. So, for me, this is the real leadership. It's more than a business. It's more than a company. And as beyond, it's like person, like human being. And when this is very hard because when it's related with a purpose, I'm not pretty sure that less than 10 years old, you have a purpose very clear. My point is, we need to learn, to enjoy, to do many things before to find our main purpose. Because we can learning constantly every day in many things, in many topics. We will discover many other things, but maybe in the first days, when in the first age, we didn't realize success. No, because you are meeting when you are meeting or you have a relationship in many organizations, many in the school, in your society, with your family, you are discovering many things, many topics, and you are exploring. Most probably, more or less, 20 years old, you can find your own purpose. And it's probably you can find in an organization or not, because it's not all about business. Many people share his life with animals, with kids. It's not only it's a way to live, because everybody needs money to pay their bills. That's obvious, but it's not always with business. Okay, not all people, not all persons are ready to in the structure, in the top structure, to be a CEO, CTO, management role. Not everyone. There are so many things for sharing, for discovering, and this is when we're ready, we will find our main purpose.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's actually kind of I picked up so many takeaway from what you just said. So one of the things I want to say, that you said that leadership is serving and leadership is lead by example. I could not agree with you more. And yes, living life with a purpose, right? Our businesses, our business leaders, policymakers should be able to should enable us so that we can live with a purpose, and businesses, organizations should also I say that we should make an enable us, right? Whoever it is, whether you are in a whether you're part of that organization or not, somehow you should be in a good way influenced, and in a good way impacted, right? Empowered. So thank you for that. With that, I am an academic, I'm a researcher, I'm a program developer, I teach. So, and whatever I do for my students. So I have a question from my side. If you kindly tell us, me as an educator, higher education, how do we prepare our college students? What do you look for in the future workforce? We're living in the VUCA world, right? And that is the normal, right? So how do we prepare our students so they can take part in this VUCA world? And specifically, tell us what specific skills that you look for in maybe currently. Give us some examples so I have a better understanding, so I can better prepare our students. Anybody can actually go. Ashutosh, Nivarti, or
Yeah, possibly I'll take that first. So I've been working with one of the engineering colleges here in Bangalore. So the major thing we see is over dependency on curriculum. I think we as educators must be looking at what the industry needs than just depend on the curriculum that is given to us, and how we prepare the students to be industry ready when they come out of their graduations or post graduations or doctorates, whatever you want to call that as. Right today, if you ask us, there is a good amount of gap, and that is because our education system is playing catching up most of the times. Can we be more proactive, and education is more uh, forward looking than trying to still teach about the same old algebra techniques while you are talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? So how you can be more proactive, bring in what the industry needs, rather than the students have to undergo, after completing their engineering or post graduation, another 1 year of prepared bridge classes that they need, right? That is one thing definitely to look for. Second, I also believe the proactiveness needs to come from the students itself. Along with curriculum, what are they doing to actually look at the gap they have? And that is where I think industrialists, or the leaders in the industry, have that connect with the colleges to be able to share what is expected, right, from the industry point of view. And more than the technologies, I think the soft skills and the ability to adapt. And when we look at Gen Z, probably I'm taking a bit of time here, but when we look at Gen Z, they all come with the entrepreneurial mindset, and everyone wants to go for their own idea of a startup. But you also have entrepreneurship. It is as much empowering and providing autonomy. And today you have incubators in most of the organizations which help you flourish your own ideas. So can you also teach them about entrepreneurship as well, which can help them to look at even industries and come to industries with those ideas? I think those are two, three things which I continuously focus on during my interactions with the students.
All right, thank you so much. A couple of things that you said, and I'm actually now thinking of a project with you, right? Yes, we are educators, higher education especially, are eager to actually collaborate and have our students work on real world projects. There's nothing I think would encourage our students than working on real world projects, right? So what we do is we bring in real world project scenarios, but those are not ongoing projects that has probably have taken place, you know. So that's how we actually, but they still find it encouraging, and they, it's the best way to actually engage and teach and serve them with experiential learning. But I think one of the things you also said, that I teach MBA courses, and yes, that is also our focus. Teach them that it's important to have that mindset to entrepreneurship, right? And but we I think we need to collaborate. I think we need to collaborate with industry specialists and professionals and educators. And I think that would kind of give us a nudge and give us a step to look at and see if that helps better prepare our students, right? So would Ashutosh like to say something? How do we prepare our students in the VUCA world and make, employable skills, I guess?
Right. I mean, yes. So just a couple of weeks back, I read a very interesting book by Gray Hamel, What Matters Now. And those of you who would have read this book knows he talks about 6 core skills. And what he says is that passion, initiative, and creativity. I mean, you should look for these 3 dimensions at a very, very high priority. I mean, intellect is something which you can easily train over a period of time, but one is passion, intellect, and creativity. So definitely these are the skills what I feel, even if a person or a student is academically low on score, but if I find these 3 skills on a higher scale, obviously that would be my first choice to pick that candidate into my organization. Having said that, this entire narration, what I'm going to talk about is from my experience in teaching in engineering colleges, in teaching in MBA colleges. what I have seen, and as our friend Nivriti also mentioned, the curriculum is way off the mark. I mean, what we are teaching, at least in India in many institutes, is something which was in the industry at least 5 to 8 years back. So there's a dated curriculum what we are teaching. In fact, I have recommended this to many institutes that you should award a degree only when the student actually does a real project for 1 year. So let's say it's a Bachelor of Engineering course. 3 years you can teach them academics. The last year you can make them work in an industry, and based on your performance in the industry, you would be given the university degree. So this is a recommendation which I've made in many of the autonomous colleges also. But unfortunately, I feel that it has to be a two-way connection. Even the industry has to adapt to this. And in India, we do have some companies like Infosys or TCS who have kind of implemented this kind of a model. So I would say that it has to be an industry academic collaboration, not just on paper, but why not have the candidate or the student spend, let's say, 1.5 years in the real industry, give exam based on that, an experiential learning exam based on that, and then only the university would award a degree. So something like this, I'm just putting a very vague thought here. Let's say the company and the university together awards the graduate or the postgraduate degree to the candidate. So I think that would be the real sense of, I would say, the blend of theory and practice into the real world.
All right. Thank you so much. Great. This discussion can actually go on for, I don't know, for a couple of hours. So what I would now like to actually ask you another question. We only have 5 minutes. We have to wrap up our discussions. So over 75% educators, students believe that education will never be the same again. So all of these crises that educational institutions are facing, industries facing, our workforce, how to better prepare them, it's real. And so what are your thoughts on it, your final thoughts on it? And what is your advice from the leadership perspective? From the leadership perspective, what is your final thoughts on this topic? People, purpose, promise, and perpetuity. Leo can start us off on this topic.
I was listening to everything that I'm full agree. It's my the old-fashioned system, education, the current education system is obsolete. It's totally obsolete. It's not for 21st century children. It's a very complicated to update it to current dates, but it's beginning with people like you, Hannah, and the rest of us that we are sharing knowledge more than education. Because if you are applying in education, we are telling the students they should act and learn the same as well as we do. And my point that the current education system is telling us that this is a race. You need to get a college title, university title with so many other titles. You need to have a job, to buy a house, to have a family, kids, to make a lot of money, and it's obsolete. This is my point of view. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You've actually said it. Yes, education system. It hasn't been changed in 100 years, right? It hasn't been, and so it's unfortunate that we still want to hold on to it, and yes. One final thought, Ashutosh and Nivriti, on this. How important is agile strategies for agile, or what are your thoughts on agile strategies in general? It could be anything.
Yeah, we need to
start us off. Is an executive agile coach.
Yeah, well, three bullets. I think we need to help the students or the kids to have a curious mind, to help them to develop a creativity mindset. Everything they are thinking, they have and constantly creativity day after day. It doesn't matter what are they doing. Since a simple draw, for example, I help them to discover themselves for themselves. What is the most things they love to do, and help them as parents, for example, to help them every decision for achieve his objectives and his for themselves and be happy instead to have a frustration. No?
Thank you so much. To teach them to be agile. Ashutosh, any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say that make the curriculum as flexible as you can be, right? As adaptable as you can be, right? Don't enforce a syllabus on student, right? I mean, syllabus actually kills it, right? I mean, why can't we have a flexible syllabus or something kind of? I mean, we did try it with an elective subject, but that's you normally get an elective subject only on the last year of your curriculum. So why not have electives from the first year, right? Link the passion of the student with the subject. So have a wide range of subject. I think that would be the real sense of agility in education. I'm cutting it short because of the shortage of time, but I have a lot of views on this.
I know.
And I would like to give it
That's a great discussion.
to
Any
talk on
last
more.
thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, quickly, I think I look at COVID as an opportunity, because in a normal scenario, I don't think we would have had a session like this with experts connected from everywhere in the world and participants everywhere in the world. So this COVID has provided an opportunity to move to digital even in education, which was purely face-to-face earlier. And that provides an opportunity to have people, experts from across the globe, to be able to contribute to the education system much more than what we could otherwise do. So that's my view, and it's a great opportunity to have. How much we can leverage that, it's up to the industry as well as the education system to do. We are, as experts, are always ready to contribute from our end.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually couldn't thank you enough for your contribution, for your great discussion. You're sharing your insights, sharing your knowledge, sharing your advice. So we would like to conclude our discussion, and we would like to conclude our discussion with a story. What does people, purpose, promise, perpetuity means to me personally? My dear colleague Priscilla has told us that we are about Ubuntu. We believe in Ubuntu, and it is a story about Ubuntu. There is this anthropologist. He was in Africa in a tribe with 3 little children. He said to those children, "Hey, do you guys want to play a game?" So the children said, "Yes, of course." All right, so this is a race, right? What you're going to do is he gave them the instruction. Take a look at that tree. If whoever can run to that tree fast, behind that tree, there is a basket full of sweet fruit. Whoever can run to that tree first get to have those fruit and get to eat those fruit. And then said, but wait till I signal you. Don't start now. So then he drew a line, had all 3 children stand by, behind the line, and then he signaled them. Those 3 children held hands, ran to the tree together, and took that basket of sweet fruit, divided among themselves, and they started eating. So the anthropologist asked them, "Guys, why did you held hands and ran together? One of you could have won the basket full of sweet fruit and have it all yourself." So the answer the little children gave is that because it's Ubuntu. We believe in Ubuntu. I am because you are. So to me, people, purpose, promise, and perpetuity is this. I am because you are. I am because we are. Thank you for joining our fishbowl discussion. I hope you stay with us till the end of our conference today. And happy birthday to Women PowerUp Network. Priya, I hand it over to you.
So thank you very much, Hannah, and all our panelists. We are running a little short of time. Here you are, a token of appreciation from our side, Ashutosh, Leo, Nivarti, for helping us to, bring this to a new beginning. And with this, I will hand over the session to Lee. Lee Lambert is here with us today. But before I introduce Lee, Women PowerUp Network community would like to thank Lee for his unconditional support to this community. All our hearts and prayers are with you, Lee. And we know that you've gone through a loss last night, but still you are here. And because of this, we will observe a 2-minute silence to offer prayers to Lee and his family, and may Lee's wife's soul be in peace. And yes, with this, we will just observe a 2-minute silence. Okay, so thank you everyone for being with us and observing this 2-minute silence for Lee and his family. Lee, I will share my screen now. Just give me a second so that you can stop sharing and share again. So just give me a second. Presentation. Cancel. Let me know when you can see my screen. Not yet, right? Yes. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I will just introduce Lee. Lee needs no introduction in the project management fraternity. He is into project management for the last 53 years, and he has been very instrumental helping all communities to grow. He's the founder of PMP and is a PMI fellow. I'm sure everyone knows Lee. And with this, without further ado, I will hand over the stage to you, Lee.
From Dario's presentation to the discussion around academia, everything's consistent with what I've learned over the last 55 years. So I'm kind of excited to share some information with you. My focus is basically on the women's side of this business. When I started back in 1966 in project management, there were maybe 15% women involved in that profession. And even those were only there to pay the bills. They really didn't want to work. And so I've seen during this first 30 years of my career, sort of an evolution to seeing the women begin to become more active and more participant. And then in the last 20 years, it's become a revolution. And it's one that I welcome. I began to hire women in my project management organizations very early on. And I'll try to cover some of the reasons for that, because I used to be criticized. In fact, my wife, she would understand this if she were here. She used to say, "Why are you hiring so many women?" Believe it or not, it was because they do really good work. So I did a little research before I joined with you today. So I want to kind of catch up with where we are right now, at least the studies I looked at. It says that there's about a 52% women in the generic workforce today. So there's more women working than there are men. So that starts to tell you a little message right there. However, when I dug a little deeper to find out how many senior level decision makers those positions are being held by women, I found throughout most of the world, about 35% of the senior decision makers are women. But in North America, the United States and Canada, only 29% were, and in Asia, only 27%. So they've not made the impression yet that they can handle the decision making. So I thought, well, I better look at PM then. The PMI organization prides itself in being an equal opportunity organization. So I looked at the PM credentials. Now, having been one of the founders of the PMP, I know that we have about 1.2 million PMPs, but we've also got other credentials. And so I checked with PMI, and they said right now the PMI organization has about 1.6 million credentialed professionals in this business of project management. The breakdown is 48% men, 47% women, and 4%, I don't know if they don't know for sure, or if they're uncertain, or they didn't want to claim, but it's about equal number of men and women. The other news that I found was that in those positions where there are equal positions, there's an $11,000 a year salary differential men make more than women. So that's sort of the environment that we're working in. Now, if you look at this next slide, you'll see that we ought to get to the bottom of the problem. And if you look at the next slide, you'll see that the problem is this. First of all, what I found is in my investigation is one of the big problems to women reaching higher levels from a decision-making standpoint is the male ego. The men don't want to admit that the women are as good as they are in many cases, and they want to keep that capability for them. And the other is that project management basically came from a male-dominated field such as construction and engineering. So it's taken time to gradually get that revolution beginning to take place. And some of the academia that we talked about a little bit earlier really lays credence to that, because if we get people, women out in the field doing the kinds of things that have been traditionally reserved for the male population, they begin to realize, hey, we're pretty darn good at this. And so we want to be able to identify what women can do. Now, there's no proof. I can't find any. If you've got some, tell me about them. There's no proof that men are better in these positions than women are. There's absolutely nothing I could find that substantiated the reason we should always have men in those positions compared to women. So what we want to do is raise the awareness of opportunities so that the women understand that there's opportunities, unlimited opportunities for them to advance in the field of project management. And more I see senior level people, as I've started to work in a more international flavor, many of the senior level participants in that environment are women, and proven women that have delivered, that have done things very consistent with the way things need to be done. So in a 2021 survey, it showed that there's a 6% gain year over year from women entering into those senior level positions. So the problem is an old problem. The problem's not there anymore. It's up to the women to take control of that. Now, to me, that's a new paradigm. Now, the problem with a new paradigm is it takes time. And so it requires patience. So when I do presentations and the people say, well, yeah, but senior level management, they won't listen to what we have to say. They don't want to pay any attention to us. I tell them patience, because basically what I tell them is they too will die. The senior level people with tainted opinions will pass on and leave it open for us as women to move into those roles. Now, I told you I really began to isolate on women participants on my project teams before I moved out of actually conducting projects in 1984 and spent most of my time teaching. I've taught over 50,000 professionals in 23 different countries about the nuances of project management and how it works. I had really began to capitalize on the women power, and my teams. If I had a team of 100, I had a team of 205 people on a very large project for saving a company. 117 of those people were women, and there's a reason for that. I learned by working with them, they're better at a lot of the things that project people have to do. Women are outstanding multitaskers. I used to look at my wife and I would say to myself, how in the world, how in God's name can she do all of the things that she does and still maintain a happy, healthy family? So women, they're used to multitasking. They've been doing that forever. So that's one percentage of the people. The other is they're more organized. My wife, bless her heart, she would have been the world's greatest project manager. She was so organized, and everything was thought through in terms of the process from the start to the finish. Everything was that way. And I found now that women primarily tend to be much more organized. And then the third item that really got my attention for my wife is that she was very risk aware. Now, in project management, one of the big topics of concern is managing risks as we move forward in our projects. And I'm an optimist. I'm what most men are, as a matter of fact. I'm an optimist, so I see the glass half full. My wife was just the opposite. She saw the glass half empty. And every time I'd come up with this great idea, she'd come up with the reasons why it wasn't as great as I thought it was. And I'd say to her, Carolyn, you are a glass half empty person. You are a pessimist. And she'd say, no, Lee. She said, the reason you say that is because I don't agree with you. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. And so one of the things that we see in our projects is women have a tendency to be much more thorough in considering the positive aspects and the negative aspects and trying to balance those. So I've constantly reminded myself, if I'm going to be a risk manager, I've got to look at all the options. And I don't think we tend to do that. I know I, as a man, tend to look at the easy part, which is everything's going to go okay. Don't worry about a thing. I mean, it's sort of like this session we're in today. Priya and I, we must have spent an hour and a half, 2 hours fooling around with making sure all the technology worked. Well, I didn't want to do that. I just want to say it'll work. Well, it wouldn't have worked. We've been in a disaster today. So I really need to think about it in that way, understanding how this all fits. Now, that means teaching old dogs new tricks. So if you look at the next slide, you'll see one of the problems we have in our organizations today, and most of our business organizations, the senior level management structure are relatively senior in age men in those decision-making roles. And they don't necessarily want to know the new tricks. I believe that it's time for the senior level management to open their minds to other opportunities. And some of the things that we talked about today about the ROI and all the other things that you have to take into consideration as you're planning and executing projects. Well, in the business side, they've got the same issues, because if you remember, our CEO of Project Management Institute has introduced this idea of the project economy. And this project economy, basically, if I can put it in simplistic terms, is basically saying everything's a project, and therefore everyone's a project manager. So the same concepts that we've worked with on individual projects really apply at the business level as well, because all the business is a compilation of all the various projects that we're undertaking. So the more senior level people can understand that relationship and be able to make prioritization decisions. Obviously, our biggest challenge in project management right now is that we have more projects than we have people to deliver them. And therefore, we end up delivering lots of projects halfway instead of picking 10 projects and delivering them 100% benefit add to the organization. So we've got to learn the new tricks. That's something that we have to pay attention to. And senior level people are reluctant. They've come up the old way. They don't want to let go of it. So innovative, creative thinking, which is what we should be doing in the colleges and in the universities. And this idea of spending the last year out in the field doing what it is you think you want to do when you graduate. We've got, in our society in the U.S., we have found that as much as 60% of the people post-graduation are not working in the field that they graduated in, because when they get out there in the working field, that's not quite what I thought it was going to be, and they gravitate to something they're more comfortable with. It's about money, it's about satisfaction, but my rule of thumb is this: if you find a job that you enjoy, that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I've been out from the corporate structure since 1984, and I haven't worked a day in that time frame. Have not worked a day since 1984 because I've been able to do what I want when I want. Does it generate money? Well, sure it does, but that's not the reason I do it. I do it because I enjoy helping other people become efficient at what we do. And Dario's point, God, I just loved your presentation, Darius, that I've been a visualization thinker for so long. I used to go into work 2 hours early and spend the first 2 hours visualizing what could go screwed up today, and then spend the rest of the day making sure it didn't happen. Visualization, I'm telling you, if you don't do it, you should. And I think you hit it dead on. And simplification of visualization, which is something you brought to me today that I really thought about, is powerful stuff. Really, really powerful stuff. So I appreciate that very much. All right, next slide, Priya. This is the slide. This is kind of the last slide that I want to bring to your attention. There's quite a few things to talk about here. If you're a woman, and if you're we power up kind of thinking that I'm so happy to see most of you do, is that there's some things you need to make sure you understand. Before you make these kinds of decisions, you need to determine what are your strategic objectives as a woman. What is it you want to be when you grow up? And once you've decided that, once you feel you have a good sense of what that is, then you need to take actions that move you towards that outcome. My wife, for example, early on, never worked a day in her life. We were married 54 years, God rest her soul, and never worked a day in her life because her objective was to be a wife and a mother and a homemaker, and she did it better than anybody I know. But she knew that going in. So there wasn't any ambiguity in terms of what she wanted to do with her life. So we all need to do that. We need to decide what are the objectives. And then once we do that, and we need to be realistic, but once we do that, then we have to decide, are we willing to make trade-offs and sacrifices to make that happen? For example, she was not willing to trade off a family life for a work life. And in the cases of some ladies, they're doing that because baby needs shoes. I mean, I'm driving 2 Mercedes. We got to pay for them somehow, and you end up working for the wrong reason. And so you got to make sure that you determine what your objectives are, okay? And then you got to decide about an image revision. Here's the point that I want to make to you. A lot of men never felt like women would make good participants in the workforce. They saw them too emotional. They saw them lack of dedication. A lot of variables that roll into that. But one of the ones they saw was not assertive enough. Not willing to go get it. Willing to do what's minimally necessary, but not assertive. So, but what happens with men, and I know this for a fact, I've talked to some of these men, and I hope you won't be offended by this, but men, when they see a woman that's assertive, they have another name they call her, and it starts with a B. And so you've got to understand, it's going to take assertive behavior to be successful in this man's world, if you want to look at it from that perspective. So you've got to make sure you understand what it is that you need to do to be effective, okay? And then you've got to demonstrate what the skills are. I found this out when I was real young. I used to tell people how good I was, but for some reason they wanted evidence. And so women are the same way. We're performing tasks. We think we're good at it, but people want evidence. They want demonstrated performance. That's why I'm big on performance evaluations. Short term, not every annual. It's too late. I do them every month. I used to do them with my people in my organization, because the more I could identify shortcomings, the more quickly they could adapt and learn and become better at what they do. So you got to be able to demonstrate your capabilities. Now, most of the ladies that I've been working with over the last year, I feel dwarfed by their capabilities. I feel immature compared to some of the things that these women have accomplished in their lives, and they're still young in their lives. So I recognize that I've got to be willing to recognize some of these women may be far better at what they do than I am. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to decide if you're going to power up, if you're going to be a successful woman and add value to both your career and your organization, then you've got to demonstrate those skills on a regular basis. But the main thing that I want to sort of leave you with, and then I'll take some questions. I want you to understand your goal shouldn't be to replace men in the workforce. Your goal should be to identify an objective that you hope to accomplish, and then you meet that objective. Don't get in a tit for tat, men for women. That's a losing scenario. Look at it from a personal perspective. What can I do to feel good about the contributions that I'm making, and then continue to do that until I've saturated my sense of self-worth, and then I can become relaxed as I move into that process. So this is what I mean. I don't have a lot to say on this because I'm such a dang big believer in the way women are contributing right now. I just wish they'd have been there in the 60s and 70s and 80s as I was beginning to grow into this position, but they're there now. So it's gone from an evolution to a revolution. And we hope to maintain that revolution from now till perpetuity, so that we can come up with our best combination of working and efficient people. All right, now I'm gonna open it up to questions. I meant this to be brief because I know there's some really good stuff coming behind me, but I do want to respond to any questions anyone may have.
Hi, Lee.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt anyone. First of all, I'm absolutely honored, Lee, to be listening to your presentation. I follow you closely on LinkedIn, and you're a big motivator for me in my professional career as a project manager. But I wanted to see if you had any additional tips and tricks. You spoke on sort of these old school way of doing things mentality that some women and even men face when they are newer or fresher and they're walking into a more male dominated industry. And I myself have heard the rebuttal of this is the old school way of doing things. Do you have any tips or tricks to kind of work around that?
Yeah, I do. It's not, I don't know that it would be called a trick, but I'll tell you what I do. I've always been focused on the achievement of objectives, defining objectives, and then going about achieving those. To me, that separates the men and the women because now we're focused on the achievement of objectives regardless of who it is that's achieving that. And I think if we stay focused on accomplishing objectives, it becomes very hard to be criticized whether you're a man or a woman if you deliver the objectives. And I think that's what's resulted in the revolution is many women have picked up on this idea that, hey, I can do just as well as other people can do and focus on the objectives. It can't be, the emotional thing did a lot of harm for women in the early stages. You can't discipline them. They start crying and, well, that's crap. That's not true. And so we need to stay focused on the delivering of objectives to overcome that.
Thank you.
Okay, so Lee, I'm checking for questions. I don't see anything much on the chat except for people saying this was a very, very inspiring session and we as women are really proud of what we are doing. So if there is any other questions, we can take a couple. How do you see project management in the near future? That is the question I see from Ashutosh.
Well, I see with Shar's new idea of the project economy, I see project management becoming even more instrumental in business operations than it's ever been before. Back in the 1980s, a guy named Paul Dinsmore, who was also a PMI fellow who lived in Rio, he passed away about 3 or 4 months ago, wrote a book called Managing Organizations by Project. And the thrust of that book was basically what Prashar is now saying is the project economy. He basically said everything that is successful about an organization has come as a result of some form of a project. And so we need to become more effective in how we do that. So I see the role. Prashar has said basically he sees the role of 5 million PMPs in the coming years. And there's tens of millions of project management jobs opening up every day. And so I think that's where it's going. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be all-encompassing in terms of the operation of organizations, whether it's for a ROI or whether it's just sustain the abilities and capabilities. I think project management is just scratching the surface of the potential.
Yep. And that is all, Lee, on the chat. But I do see very, very encouraging comments. Like we were cheering, but we were on mute because of this inspiring session that you just delivered. Oh, there is one question. What are your thoughts on fully remote project managers due to the pandemic?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on fully remote project managers due to this pandemic?
Oh yeah, fully remote. Boy, that's what that COVID really started to make us think about this, didn't it? Yeah. I actually, here's my thought, just surface thought is I think it's great. When I've taught 50,000 people in 23 countries, I lived on airplanes, okay? Now I can have almost the same effect and never leave my little studio I have here. I mean, where would I have been able to talk about 900 people signing up for a program without it being remote? So I think it's awesome. I think we have to balance it. I mean, there's still got to be personal contact, but I think that the future of remote has been proven to be potentially a very high impact environment. And this is not just project management, it's education as well. So I think we're on the edge of something big happening. And we can blame it on COVID, or we can say it was an opportunity presented by COVID. But the fact of the matter is, I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
All right. So I think that's all. Just one more. How do you see women in adaptive world over traditional world?
You got to repeat it once more. I'm having a real hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. How do you see women in adaptive world over the traditional ways of working?
Oh, yeah. Here's what I see. I mean, we're at 52% working women now. I see that number getting bigger because I think more and more are going to begin to demonstrate the capabilities that are inherent to women. I mean, we got to train this stuff. We got to learn this stuff. Half of the stuff is natural to women. So I think you're going to see that percentage is changing. The only one I worry about is that senior level decision making. From an international standpoint, it's 35%. That's not too bad. But in North America, it's only 29% of the women are in senior level decision making positions. That needs to change.
All right, so Lee, we do not have any more time to take questions. There are a few more. I will share that with you on LinkedIn, and we can take this discussion forward. And Lee, a token of appreciation from Women PowerUp Network for your time today and this inspiring presentation that you just delivered. So thank you very much, Lee.
It's my pleasure, and I thank you all for your thoughts regarding my wife. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lee. All right, so we will move on to our next session, part of the session. We are really running late. So a little humor goes a long way. So we are going to talk about, we're going to invite Sanjeev Srinivasan, who is going to, do a 10 minutes of stand-up comedy. Sanjeev, are you there? I will stop sharing my screen.
Yes, I'm there. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me, Priya?
Yes, we can.
Great, great. Thank you very much. So it's great. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. So my name is Sanjeev. I'm from Mumbai, India. And I started doing comedy about 3 years back. So I've been doing comedy about 3 years back. And the Eureka moment for me when I started doing comedy was my wife once told me that, oh, you seem to have an opinion about anything and everything on the face of this earth. So that's what prompted me to do comedy. Now, it's great when we see this power of women's network, right? Yeah, I've done comedy at a couple of times in the last 2 years, 2-3 years, on 8th of March, which is like International Women's Day. And it's great when we see actually people full of room with women from different walks of life. For people who wonder whether there's something called as International Men's Day, yes, there is something called as International Men's Day. Just that we call it happy hours. We don't call it International Men's Day. So everyone's a project manager here. So I started off my career as a project manager. Few years back, I started off my career. I was also a project manager. And one of the things I found very difficult in project management is stakeholder management. Because, any project you take, big or small, in any field, the stakeholder expectation of a project manager is the same. Any stakeholder feels that a project manager is someone who can get 9 women to deliver a baby in 1 month. That is what any stakeholder would be. And another important aspect of project management is risk management. So we are, as project managers, we are expected to maintain a risk register or a risk log and keep tracking it. Now, I really don't get the concept of risk management. I don't understand risk management much. The only thing that I understand about risk management is till you have an offer letter on hand, do not resign from your current job. That's the only risk management that I've ever understood. So once what happened was I wanted to just lighten up a session. I was doing a session with a lot of operations and PMO teams, and I wanted to lighten up the session. So I said, okay, let's Google, memes about project managers. And to my surprise, Google answers back, there are very few. So either the world takes project managers very seriously, which we all know is never the case. There is no project manager in this world who's been taken seriously, or there is nothing to laugh about in our lives. So the whole idea of me doing this session was towards a new beginning as the theme, that let's all start 2021 on a positive note, and which is why I thought, let me bring in some humor. So you've all seen this case where, it's a famous one, where there is a glass which is half empty. And we are told, right, if it's a pessimist, he will say the glass is half empty. If it's an optimist, he will say the glass is half full, right? A project manager will say the glass is twice as big as it needs to be. That's how definitions change. But with COVID at home, we're all stuck, right? But I'm told we have, I can see 74 people here. Now, thank God, no government has a restriction on people meeting online. Otherwise, we wouldn't have met here. In India, if I now tell anybody that I'm at a gathering with 74 people, I'll have the cops chasing me now. But with COVID, we are all being stuck at home for a long time, right? So next month, I've planned like a 10-day holiday. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go somewhere remote, where there is no internet, where there is no phone, somewhere quiet, where I just want to relax eat, sleep, absolutely do nothing. And I don't mind spending about $10,000-15,000 a week. So I don't mind spending that money, but I need to really go somewhere. So does anybody have any suggestions? Please feel free to let me know how I can get $10,000-15,000. Place I'll manage. So with COVID, a lot of things have changed. Previously, when we have arguments with people, right? So if we are arguing with somebody in a room and you're having a fight, and the person would be like, "You meet me outside, man. I'll show you who I am." Right? And there are times when that's happened to me, and I've gone outside and say, "Here, I've stepped out. Now tell me, what can you do?" These days, if somebody says, "You meet me outside, man," we should just let that person go and let the virus take care of it. And and you've all heard about, you're all from different parts of the world, but I'm sure all of you would have heard about the big fat Indian wedding, like 1,000 people, 2,000 people. But now it's restricted to like 50, 60 people. Now, I've been married for quite a number of years. So essentially, the only difference that is that essentially the number of people who attend wedding right now is even less than the number of people who are actually serving food at my wedding. But a lot of organizations have done a lot of things about mental health issues. A lot of people are saying that they face mental health issues staying at home, and a lot of people, organizations are speaking about mental health. So I started having a few trust issues. Somehow after working from home, I started having trust issues, and this working from home was getting to me, and I just can't trust people now. The other day I was not able to find my wallet, and I was so sure that it's the house help who comes to my place to generally clean the house. She's the one who's taken my wallet. I'm very sure. But the fact is that I don't even have anyone coming. So another thing is, but people say that 2020 was a bad year. But let's take a step back before blaming 2020. How many of you remember how 2020 started with? The first big event of 2020 was Brexit, right? With a beginning like that, what did you expect? Brexit is like, I love the thing about Brexit, right? It's a reality now, but I love the thing about Brexit where there's so many people who've come to me and told me that I don't understand. I voted for Brexit, but now I'm thinking whether it should have happened or not. So, it's like you want to watch shows like the Kardashians and the Big Boss. First 10 minutes into the show, you know what's going to happen. But you have that stubbornness to sit and say that I'm going to watch the entire thing. That's what Brexit is. So for people who don't understand what Brexit is, I'll explain to you in a layman's term. We all have Netflix, right? You cancel your Netflix subscription and go to each producer of the show and negotiate a deal for your family. That's all there is to Brexit. But the year ended well. Luckily, 2020 ended well. Mukesh Ambani, who's the richest man in India and the richest man in Asia, he became a grandfather. So good news. He became a grandfather, and apparently just a month before he became grandfather, his company, Reliance Industries, went and acquired Hamleys, the toy maker. So now we know the exact reason for Hamleys acquisition, which no project manager in that deal would be able to tell us. Another big event that happened end of last year was the US elections. I'm sure all of us have been following the US elections, right? And with COVID, there are travel restrictions. There are travel restrictions, and travel in the new normal has become very different. I went to the US last month, because my aunt, a long distance relative, but my aunt recently was chosen as the vice president of the United States. So in case people don't know, I belong to the same state in south of India as Kamala Harris. So for all of us, she's our long distance aunt. End of story. No arguments, no discussions at all. But but when you look at it, a lot of people say that she's going to be the next president of the US as well, right? Now, interesting fact is that US being the biggest country, and literally the person who's the president of the US rules the world, right? Here, all the male chauvinists are like, oh, a lady is going to rule the world. And all the feminists are like, yeah, more woman power, brilliant. Honestly, doesn't make a difference to me. I'll tell you why. I'm from the same, like I said, I'm from the same state as what Kamala Harris is. And I've got 5 women in my life. My wife, my mother, my daughter, my sister, and my mother-in-law. I'm used to taking instruction from South Indian ladies. So whether Kamala Harris becomes the president of the US or not doesn't matter to me. For me, it is business as usual. But I come from thank you. So I come from a family where south of India, people are supposed to be very tech savvy, very tech savvy. And one person in our family is supposed to be from IIT, which is the premier institute in India. It's like the Harvard of India for engineers, and the others are all engineers. So I'm not that one person in my family who's from that institute. Forget about that. I'm not even an engineer, which only means that I have low self-esteem. But it's not so. But when people talk about something is supposed to be good at technology, but I don't understand technology. So when I'm in a technology forum with people, I'm like that dead body in a funeral. If I speak, people will freak. But technology has reached every nook and corner of the world. It's like in everyday life. The other day, my mother was like, why don't you pray for this world? Things should come back to normal. So I said, okay. So I prayed, oh God, save us. God responded back. God said, sure, but tell me JPG or PDF. I recently went for a interview for a technology project manager. And people were like, oh, which platform? People were like, which platform do you work on? So which platform of project, what is your specialization? So somebody who said SAP, somebody said Oracle, somebody said Microsoft. So I said, why don't you give desk space in this office? And that lady said, I'll come back to you. We'll get back to you. That day, my friends, I realized a very important thing. I learned a very important lesson. Whenever the HR says, we will get back to you, the answer is a no. Don't bother even following up. Another thing which I don't understand is somebody spoke about agile, right? Agile. That's a nice word. I've known agile since the time I was 4. So I'm sitting at my house. My father will come and ring the bell and he'll be like, hey, open the door fast. You should be agile. That's the only agile I know. Even now, agile for me is the door ringing and the food delivery guy coming and delivering my food. I rush and go and pick up the food and come. That is the only agile thing I know. But I went for the seminar on artificial intelligence. Very nice. Artificial intelligence is growing. Very, very nice, right? But when I met people there, somehow I felt I'm not worried about the growing artificial intelligence. I'm more worried about the diminishing real intelligence. Now, I think, all technology companies are feminists. All technology companies, all of them are feminists, right? I used to always, why is that Alexa is a female? Siri is a female. Google Maps, there's a female giving you directions. Why is that a female giving you directions? Why is it always like that? I always had this question. But then I got married and really I got the answer as to why females are giving instructions. Now it's not like, and Alexa plays with my mind. The other day I told Alexa, what's the weather going to be outside? And Alexa responds back, you're not going out anyway. What difference does it make to you? But it's not like if we tell Alexa play Elton, instead of Alexa it was Alex. If you say Alex play Elton John, it's not like it's going to play Justin Bieber, right? Anyway, just a couple of parting things that I just wanted to share. Another thing I don't understand is iPhones. First thing, iPhone, I mean, at least in India, iPhones are so expensive, you know. See, once you buy an iPhone on your credit card, to pay that credit card bill, you have to sell your house, you have to sell your car, you have to sell your wife's jewelry. I sold one of my kidneys also, and still I'm paying for the iPhone. It is so frightfully expensive. But it's confusing, you know, iPhone's confusing. You can't set a custom ringtone. You can't do this, you can't do that. And with this iCloud and everything, it's so complicated. See, let's take an example. Let's take a pizza, right? Normal pizza. An Android phone is like eating a pizza with your hand, right? Anybody can do. An iPhone is trying to eat that same pizza with chopsticks. I don't say it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult. Another thing I don't understand is about social media. Social media, I think, is also very woman friendly, right? Because the other day what happened was me and a friend of mine went drinking, and you know, we were hammered. Hammered is an understatement, but we were hammered. So next day morning, she put a status on Facebook, and I don't understand why this happens with women. She put the status on Facebook, got up with a terrible headache, and within seconds she had like some 500 likes, and people giving her literally prescriptions on Facebook. Take this, do this, my poor baby, and all sorts of things. I was in the same situation as hers. I put the status as got up with a terrible headache. A friend of mine responds by, go kill yourself. So I don't understand why this is. Another thing is that, you know, Facebook has an app which tells you, which predicts what you'll be doing 25 years down the line. So my wife tried it, and it gave her that chilling out on the beach with my besties. And she called all her friends, look, and all of them shared on Facebook. She tagged all of them, and everything was hunky dory. And I was like, okay, I'll also try. So I tried, and it gives me and Facebook gives me a response that it's absolute bliss when you get your salary credited into your account on the last day of the month. It's like Mark Zuckerberg staring on my face that, bro, till the end of your life, you're not going to go beyond your salary. So stay where you are. So I think I'm just about ending time. So I'll just give you just one parting thought. You might be thinking that why, you know, I'm not from a technology background. I'm not from, you know, I don't understand technology. It's not that I didn't try to become an engineer. I tried. You know, I struggled very hard. I tried to get into a good engineering college. I went every second day and tried to get into an engineering college, but the security at the gate does not let me in. So I guess I'm at the end of my time, so I'll just stop there. Thank you very much for you know, giving me this opportunity. It's great to, you know, it's great to just meet people virtually. I mean, if this was face to face, it would have been a different discussion altogether. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
So thank you, Sanjay. We are just running very short of time. A token of appreciation from our side.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was lovely. We couldn't cheer you much because we were on mute, but definitely this was a very refreshing change for us. And with this, we'll move on to the last segment, which is a panel discussion, which is innovative leadership and transformation. Our panelists are Mark, Mustafa, and Linda, and our facilitator is Priscilla. So Priscilla, I'll hand over the stage to you. And yes, with this, let us get going on how we can be more innovative as leaders.
Thank you, Priya. Still recovering from laughing, but yeah, we've been inspired, we've been humored, and thank you again for staying with us and joining us for our second panel discussion for the day. So the panel discussion, of course, is innovative leadership transformation. So change, they say, is the only constant. Our leadership is critical if we are going to move our organizations forward and sustain this pace in our rapidly changing world. But before we dive into our panel discussions and introductions, I'd like to remind the audience, please use the chat function to share any questions or comments that you have during this discussion session. And then we will be happy to answer anything that you raise in real time. Okay, so let's get started with our panel introduction. It is my pleasure to introduce Linda Ottman, Mustafa Havizoglu, and Mark van Schoenwinkel. Thank you all of us for being with us today to share your insights, your knowledge, and your experiences. So Linda, let's kick off with you. Please could you introduce yourself? Let us know what innovative leadership transformation means to you. If you could give us an example. Linda.
Yeah. Hello from my side. I'm Linda, as mentioned, and I'm working for the International Association of Project Managers. And this organization is based in Liechtenstein. For those who don't know this country, it's in Europe, close to Switzerland. And yes, for me, the innovative leadership means a shift in leadership from forcing and from pushing people to one goal, to motivating and to give people a freedom to decide what to do. And yes, for me, it's very important that my team and I, that we are on the equal level and that we listen to each other's opinions and that we are open when we criticize each other and when something is not good, obviously. And for example, one of my older colleagues, he is of the opinion that it is important to set clear boundaries to the team and that the team has to stick to the instructions. And I don't think that this is a good idea and a good way to go, because maybe it can be fine for short term and for short-term goals, but I think it's better not to force people to do something, but to be open, to be honest, to communicate with them, and to be on an equal level with the team and to be on the same eye level, and that the people don't get demotivated and that they are intrinsically motivated and that they feel appreciated. And I think this is even better for the long-term goals. And I think this is a good thing for a leadership. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Linda. Mustafa, please let us know who you are and your experience.
Thank you very much. Hello to all of you. I'm Mustafa Hafizoğlu. I'm teaching project management lessons at the universities. I'm also program director at an aerospace and defense company, and I'm also founder of Project Management Office Summit and PMA Talk in Turkey. And I'm also an author, so I have different hats. And regarding with your question, innovative leadership, actually, innovation is such a word that each of us may have different definitions. So when I ask you to visualize innovation, as Dario mentioned that visualization is very critical. Thank you, by the way, for this great presentation, Dario. Each of us will draw a different picture. So first of all, leaders should make us be aware of what kind of definition each of us has. So when I think about innovation, first of all, we should understand that we have to create value, but that is not enough for innovation. We should also capture value. So how to create and capture value, and why should we do that? These questions should be answered, and leadership, innovative leadership, has that actually important mission to be able to find the answers of those questions. And in order to find those answers, actually, he should be the leader. He should be, or she should be the leading for answering those questions. So, and as you find those questions, there is one more thing that you also mentioned, that change. So we have to, that leadership should also make us available to change. So that's those we have those three critical things: creating value, capturing value, and being able to change to achieve those values.
Thank you for that, Mustafa. Mark, let's introduce you to the audience.
Yes, thank you very much. Great to be here, and congrats on your first anniversary. So my name is Mark. I'm an international leadership coach. And for me, transformational leadership is, I think the most important is that you can create a shift in paradigm. You know, in the sense of, I think we are still living in a lot of companies with that paradigm of an organization is a machine. You know, you can push, if you push the right buttons, you know, the yellow and the blue one, then products and services will be rolling out. And I think the shift is to see that a company is an organism, yeah? So that you have to pamper it, that you have to feed it, that you have to connect the different parts of it, so that it becomes adaptive in the world around it. And that is a really important one, I think, making that shift between everything is predictable in the sense of we need to adapt to changing circumstances. And I think the last year was a very good example, a strong example.
Indeed. Thank you for that, Mark. So that now everyone knows who we are. We're going to kick off our panel discussion. But before that, let me just remind you, if you have any questions or any comments, put them in the chat section. Our team is monitoring and keeping an eye on all the feedback you're providing us, and we will answer you in real time. Priya, I also see that you posted a Menti link. Soma, sorry, would you like to say something to the Menti link?
No, this is for the end of the session, but
Okay.
carry forward. I don't see any questions as such, except for Mahesh saying, Mark, last year was really an eye-opener.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you for that, Priya. So the first question, and Linda, if you would answer this question for us. How important is a leader's role in innovation?
Yes, I believe that the role of a leader will be important in the new normal, to say this. But I think that the role of a leader has shifted, and it should be less managing, but more leading, in my opinion. And in some situations, for example, in agile project management, self-organized teams can work very well. But I think in the future, still leaders are important, and that the role still will be very important. But as mentioned before, the role should be more supportive and more motivating and less autocratic. And the hierarchy levels should be nearly equal.
Right, so leading more into the servant leadership role where you let go of command and control, and you're actually removing blockers for the organization and your team members. Well, thank you for that. Mark, do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, I would like to reinforce the message from Linda, and you know, because good leadership can sometimes be as simple as just get out of the way, you know, and let people do what they want to do. Just give a little bit of direction, a little bit of structure, and then move away. I think that is sometimes we want to control and we want to manage it too much. So I think that is in the same line as what Linda was saying. Yeah.
Thank you. Get out of the way. Mustafa, anything to add on that?
Yeah, get out of the way.
Yeah, actually, when I look at the successful innovations, I see two things on top of that. First of all, vision. So you have to be able to see the value that you are aiming to achieve.
Right.
But that is not enough. One more important thing is that to be able to reach that goal. So in order to achieve that, you have to be powerful in terms of execution. So leaders should be able to create such an environment that you can execute to achieve that region, to that goal. So that's the two important things for successful innovations from the perspective of leadership. To be able to show the vision and to be able to execute that.
Thank you for that. Priya, I see you want to raise some questions from the audience.
Yeah, I think we have answered this already. It's from Mahesh again. How much do you think a leader can change a current scenario? I think we pretty much went through that. It is very essential. There is another question. According to you, what is that one key thing that a leader must do to motivate the team? Yes,
yeah, I would say respect them. You know, I think that if you look at in that sense what Daniel Pink has done, you know, because he has written a very interesting book about what taps into intrinsic motivation. And then there are three things. That is purpose. We have spoken about that, I think, you know, in the first panel. Purpose, autonomy, and mastery. And that is much in line with what we are saying, you know, give a big goal to reach, purpose, and then make sure that you can give people autonomy and mastery. And that is very motivating for people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Anyone else with something to add to that question?
I would like to add trust.
Yes, leader.
I think it's really similar to respect and trust. So if a team leader trusts his team, the team knows that they are trusted, and then they are intrinsically motivated because they know that the team leader appreciates them. And I think that's also very important.
Indeed. Thank you for that. Creating a safe environment where people feel seen, trust, and heard. Indeed. There's a question, Priya. Do we get PDUs for these events?
Yeah, so these will be self-reported PDUs. As per PMI, we can claim PDUs, but we do not have a code because we are not REP. We can just, you know, do a self-report. Yes.
Self-report.
There is a question. If everyone has answered the previous question, then we can move on to the next question.
Yes.
Can I add one thing? Is that, yeah? Because, you know, I think the key sometimes is that, you know, we say give people autonomy and give them trust. And the key thing for me is that you have to keep doing that, because often, you know, it's a pattern that people are used, that they get instructions and that they get detailed instructions. So the first time that you give trust and autonomy, nothing will change. You know, they will be waiting for your instructions. So you have to continue with that, you know, because the first reaction is sometimes frustrating for leaders, you know, in the sense that they say, you know, you see, it does not work. You know, I give trust, I give autonomy, and they don't take initiative.
Yes.
But the key is keep doing it and also tell it to people that you would like to have another kind of behavior. That is.
Thank you for that. And Akini asks a question to you, the panel. How can a leader understand the real problem while virtually meeting with his teams or her team?
We can start with Mustafa, then virtual leadership.
Okay. Actually, yesterday I was in a discussion regarding which one is most important. To be solution-centered or to be problem-centered. So I'd like to answer this question from that perspective. Most of the people answer this question being solution-centered is more important or attractive regarding with the problem-centric. But thinking about what the problem-centric is actually to be able to understand first what the problem is. So actually, the problem can we generally find the problems in front of us. But if you don't just focus on the real drivers of the problem, mostly we may just face with actually a different type of problem that we see. So in this case, actually, we should also think about when we think about virtual world. So we have to just one by one understand the inner side of the problem from our project, our leadership perspective. So that is the most critical part from that point of view.
Okay, so understand the helicopter view and then design a solution with the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. There's another question, maybe tied to that. Then how can a leader be more empathetic? Mark, would you like to tackle that? How can a leader be more empathetic?
How can a leader be? That's a very good question. You know, of course you can practice in that, and I think it is also a little bit related to the previous question. That I think one important thing as a leader is that you should not be too much on the content. You know, that when you're in a meeting, that you should be more on structuring the meeting, but also seeing what is happening in that meeting. You know. Are people respecting each other? Are people communicating in the right way? Is there a good relationship? Those kind of things.
Right.
And then you can also become more empathic, you know, because you cannot do everything at the same time. But I see so many leaders which are so much on the content that they lose sight of everything else. While that is the most important thing.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else who wants to add on that, Linda or?
Yes, I think the first step is that the leader wants to be empathetic. If he or she doesn't want to do this, then it doesn't make sense that he or she tries to do something. I think this would be the first step.
Right, you need to first be willing to be empathetic before you try to be.
Yeah. And I think this is in many things. So the most soft skills are related to this. So I think if a leader wants to be better and more open-minded and something, then I think this is the first step to be positive in this thing.
Yeah, great, good one. Soma asks, how do we define and differentiate a leader, a good leader, and a great leader? Mustafa, would you like to take a go at that one?
Yeah, why not? So actually, in my opinion, leadership is a journey. So it starts with understanding yourself. So if you start journey with understanding yourself, discovering yourself, and then understanding to be able to understand others' feelings, others' behaviors, then you start to get to be a good leader. But after that, you have to, this is, as I mentioned, this is a journey. You have to understand the world. You have to increase your intellectual knowledge. You have to actually increase your relationships with others, with your team, with the other stakeholders. So as you go on that journey, you get to be a great leader. So the most crucial thing is to be able to see that this is a journey, and you have to be aware that you should always keep on that path to be a great leader. So according to this definition, actually, you will not be able to achieve to be a great leader because this is a journey. But trying to be a great leader would be enough to achieve through that journey.
Thank you for that. Anyone who'd like to add to that sentiment?
Yeah, it sounds as it is coming from the cover of my book, because there is literally a sentence on it. A good leader takes people to results, and a great leader takes them to personal growth. So that would be my definition.
Right. So be on a journey, but also take people along the journey with you and grow together.
Yeah. So meaning more than only giving meaning to people. That is what is important. You know, meaning. Meaning. Meaning is a key word, I think.
Thank you for that. Is this session recorded, Priya? Question from Sandra. Yes,
it is. And there is one question that I would like to put this from the audience. What will be the future of project management? Is it predictive or adaptive?
Good one, yeah.
Big question. Go ahead. Who is going to take a stab at that?
The
Yes.
question is too difficult. No one.
And he wants to answer.
That it requires a glass bowl. Who has a glass?
Yeah.
I think, Dario, you're saying something, or I see your hand moving.
Yeah, Dario wants to say something. Oh, he's just saying yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go
So
ahead.
have we covered all the questions, and then we can maybe go on with the themes that we had? All right. So now let's address the elephant in the room, people. COVID-19. Everyone talks about it. Everyone loves it, hates it. We don't know. Any tips to cultivate innovative leadership in COVID-19 and post-COVID-19?
That's also a difficult question.
Yeah, this is a big one. How do you cultivate innovative leadership with the pandemic that we have?
I think it's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Because I have a few of my companies I'm working for who really have concluded that they have become better leaders during COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is very interesting, because if you have not done yet, perhaps there is also an opportunity in it.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that they can do less micromanagement, to be honest, because this is a retail company and they have stores everywhere. So they did a lot of traveling to check and to walk through the store, and they cannot do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And their conclusion is, we see people at a distance in online meetings, and still everything is going perfect and fine. And for them, it was a big discovery that they can trust people. Mm-hmm. So that was a very positive side of COVID and how it works.
Very interesting. Linda, would you like to add to this question?
Yes. We had the same situation. So we are all split, all different countries and cities. And normally we met sometime in person, but not everybody at once. And now with video chats, we have the options to meet. Of course, we had the option before too, but nobody used Skype or something on a regular basis. And now we do this, and we are very satisfied with it. And it's a great solution. So of course, it's not the same than meeting in person. That's right. But it is also a bit positive that we are Skype, we are Zoom, and yes, I think that is a positive side. But of course, there can also be very negative sides. We see it in Germany now that many companies could work from home, or many employees could work from home. It said nearly 60% could work from home, but only at 27 or something do this. And the thing is that the bosses don't trust, they don't trust their employees. And this is a huge problem. But I think when the employers trust their employees and they don't monitor them and they don't force them to do anything they don't want to, and I think then the motivation raises, and I think then that they can benefit from this situation, even if the situation is a bad one.
A difficult one. Thank you for that. Mustafa, anything to add from your experience to this question?
Yeah, a few words. Actually, last year, once more proved us that we cannot control everything.
No.
So this actually requires to be flexible. So organizations, our projects, we should design things to be flexible. So as far as we are flexible, we can manage those unexpected things that we cannot actually control. So this is also important for our leadership style. So we should also give some importance on that flexibility in our leadership style.
Right. Thank you for that. How is your time?
Yeah, so we just have time for the last,
one last question. Oh, time goes really fast. Okay, this one was a very interesting question. Can we do without leaders, and how? It's a it's a very sensitive one, but let's see. Can we do without leaders?
Mustafa, what do you think we can do without leaders?
Actually, from my experience, let me just, we have some performance sessions in our organizations on a yearly basis. And when I'm having that session with my managers, I just look at how they are able to actually organize, or how things go on when they are not around, where they are on a vacation. So if things go well when they are not around, then I feel that they are a good leader. So actually, we should be such leaders that when we are not around, things should go well. So that is one of my evaluation criteria.
Interesting. Who would like to add to this discussion? What's the future of leadership?
For me, it's because I see Sandra says we are all leaders in our own way, and I think that for me would be the answer. You know,
right.
I can, because you have a lot of interesting companies in the world. You know, the open companies that are self-steering without managers, without leaders. But then still you have informal leaders, of course, you know, people that take initiative. But I think perhaps for me the answer would be, we can do without leaders, we cannot do without leadership. And it's a role, it's not a position. Yeah? So everyone can take leadership to a certain extent. And yeah, perhaps that is more the future, you know, that more people take leadership for the things they want to reach and they want to go for. Yeah.
Love that summary. I guess it wraps up a panel discussion really well. We can do without leaders, but we cannot do without leadership. So thank you all again for sharing your insights, your knowledge, and I hope for the audience that you've managed to learn something from this session, that you've learned a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy that you can apply to become an innovative leader who's leading your transformation journey. And we wish you well. Thanks, Priya. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And a token of appreciation from our side, Linda, Mustafa, and Mark. And with this, I think we are done with today's session. Agalia, if you want to share your screen for the scribes, we will do that. And Abhishek, please post the winners of the exciting goodies on the chat window. So, you know, we will connect with you and we will send the goodies to your home. All right, this is so wonderful. It's about purpose, autonomy, and mastery. Very nice. Innovative transformation leadership. You can share the other one as well, which you've done for Lean. Yes. Okay, this is about women in project management. This is also awesome. Is there any other that you would like to share, Agalia? Okay. This is on people, purpose, promise, and perpetuity, post-COVID and beyond. So Agalia has very nicely captured all the salient points, and we will share this as a part of our, closing post on social media, so that we can have this imprinted in our minds. And as Dario said, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I think we will remember this very well. And this is the graphic recording from Dario's session. Dario, do you like it? He's thinking. Okay. Wow. All right. So, Abhishek, it's time to share the name of the winners of our goodies, and please share the feedback link as well on the chat window. Abhishek, you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm sharing. Yeah, I'm just sharing the feedback link.
Okay. And the name of the winners. So Abhishek has been closely monitoring who has been active in the entire conference and people who have been joining, who had joined in at time as well as stayed till the end. And there is a lucky draw. I'm not sure about the algorithm behind the lucky draw, but everyone is eagerly waiting for the winner, Abhishek.
Yeah,
Before, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So here are the list of winners.
Okay, Yoshini Patel, Ravin, Shailisha, yes, Nagini, Rajendra, Sanskruti, Rasorika, Chaitanya, Mahesh, and Satya. We have your email IDs. We will reach out to you for your postal address and you will get your goodies delivered to your home. And thank you everyone for joining in. Please share the feedback link as well. Abhishek.
Feedback link I've already shared.
Just share once more so that people don't forget to take the feedback. Yeah. And thank you everyone, panelists, speakers, everyone for joining in. We ran out of time a little. We could not do a proper time management, but this is obviously a learning for us. Next time we will surely be on time. Apologies for that, and we had to, accommodate Lee as well because he was going through a personal loss. So thank you everyone, all attendees. Thank you for joining in and staying till the end. Thank you. And you will get your winners, you will get your goodies delivered to your home. Thank you and have a good weekend. Bye-bye.